Hey guys, welcome back once again into our channel. Today we are going to be taking the cards that we opened from both of our boxes and improving two decks. Based on the poll that we did on Twitter, the two most requested decks were Steel Sapphire at number 1 and actually Ruby Emerald at number 2. So, after discussing it with my wife, she told me her favorite color is blue, and obviously she loves the Enchanted Bell and the regular Legendary Bell as well. So she wants to play the Sapphire and Steel deck. So she's actually going to play the harder deck, and it's all because of this. But yeah, that's my theory anyway. She just said she likes the color blue, but I know better. So I'm going to take it upon myself to play Ruby Emerald, which is actually, I think, one of the hardest starter decks to improve, just because both colors kind of lack any sort of draw. So you're kind of just aggressively going to quest, but that's another video. We'll get into that. So first up is this Steel Sapphire deck, which is actually really strong. The starter deck itself is probably the weakest of all three. It's really close between that and Ruby and Emerald, but I think Ruby Emerald is actually just a little bit better. And the reason why this one isn't so great is because you do have some ways to accelerate your ink and things like the Mickey Mouse Detectives and One Jump Ahead and Grammatala, but you don't really have anything big that kind of wins you the game, right? So like we have, from the packs that we pulled, we have things like Hades that can banish one of your opponent's characters by putting it into their inkwell, and then we have things like Bell that quest for 5 and like also help you accelerate your game plan a little bit. So like you're trying to ramp into things that like make a big impact, right? Things like Giant Tank that will clear your opponent's board and help get you big W's. Basically, that's what you're looking to do. So without that kind of stuff, it's a little bit hard. And what we're going to do is, with the cards that we pulled from both boxes, assuming we made trades, like I pulled a Stitch in mine, my wife pulled a Hades in hers, so I could trade the Stitch for the Hades, things like that. They're both legendaries. More or less, with you opening packs and getting cards in colors that you don't need, you should be able to swap them out relatively easy for ones that you do, especially with commons and uncommons. They should be pretty readily available. Nobody really holds on to commons and uncommons in card games. They're all pretty much about the same cost. So if you have commons and uncommons you don't need, you should be able to trade them for ones that you do, or pay like a couple bucks and pick them up. It shouldn't really be too difficult. But yeah, we're going to jump right into it. I'm going to go over what I think the strengths of this deck are, what the weaknesses of this deck are, and how you can look to start improving it, right? So first up, we have our 1-drop package that the starter deck provides you, which is 4 basic 1-drops. There are 2 2s. 1 in Steel, 1 in Sapphire, and then we have 3 of what I think are the better 1-drops, which are Captain Hooks. The reason I feel that he's better is because he becomes a 3 power while challenging, so you can potentially trade for things that are in the 2 cost slot. Okay, so the first things that I would look to change are taking the Goons and the Flounders out, probably for something a little bit stronger. We're definitely going to keep the Hooks, and we're definitely going to keep our Fire the Cannons and Develop Your Brains. These are very powerful action cards. One that lets us kind of look through our deck a little bit and find cards that we may need, or at the very least look at the top 2, see that we don't need either, and kind of get them out of the way while we're drawing, right? Fire the Cannons, very powerful 1-cost action that clears opposing characters. That's great, you want more of that. So we're going to keep these, we're going to keep Hook. These are up to be cut. Coconut Basket, I would say, depending on the build you're running, depends on if you keep this package. So there is these cards that we pulled, but I felt that we didn't pull enough of to really justify going in that direction, and that's the Maurice package. So we have things like Scepter of Arendelle that gives support, Fishbone Quill that helps you ramp a little bit, Belle, the Inventor, she will help you reduce the cost of items, and she quests for 2 on a 3 body. It's pretty good. Eye of the Fates also increases your questing. Ariel, which is like a combo deck. Every time you play an item, she readies, and then you can quest again and again and again and again and rack up questing points. And then finally Maurice, which is 2, and then also reduces the cost of an item by 2. So, and he lets you draw a card whenever you play an item. So like this is a little bit of an item package. If you're playing the item package, you definitely keep Coconut Basket. Even if you don't, I think Coconut Basket's one of the stronger items that the deck comes with. You can keep Golden Flowers. I probably would swap them for the Scepters, because the Scepters are continuously good. You can put like support on Herc, Quest, now he has Bodyguard, you give the power to Grandma, and Grandma can challenge into something, banishing it. You don't really lose the Grandma, she becomes ink. So it's like a little tiny mini combo with her, which is pretty nice. Fishbone Quill to get some of the uninkables out of your hand, ramp you up, and then you play Whole New World, draw new hands. Like, this card is pretty decent. I'm still a little not too sold on this, because I think it's just a card that, like, this doesn't do anything. You playing it for 3 doesn't do anything, and then you're using it to get rid of another card in your hand, so you, like, have to play 4 Whole New Worlds, and you just kind of have to, it has to come together, and if it doesn't come together like this, doesn't really help your game plan, but that's okay. You're playing this little package to draw cards. So I felt like 2, 2, and 2 Bells, 2 Ariels, and 2 Maurice wasn't really enough. We also didn't pull any Tamatoa, which I feel like is kind of necessary, just because he's a big body. He recycles your items, so if you have an item that, like Golden Flower, you banish it to heal or something like that, you can kind of like get more value out of it. If your opponent maybe banishes your Eye or your Fishbone Quill or like your Scepter, you can like get them back. And then Tamatoa himself also quests for a lot of lore, basically. But yeah, we opted not to run that package. Whether or not you run that package, I think the item you should be looking to obtain is this, the Beast Mirror. While you have no cards in your hand, you pay 3 and you exert the mirror, and it lets you draw a card. So in this deck, you're going to find that you run out of cards in your hand relatively quickly, because you're spending cards like Grandma and like One Jump Ahead and like Mickey to just kind of get more ink. And when you're doing that, you're going to rapidly run out of cards in your hand. So in order to compensate for that, you want something like this that lets you draw more, or a Whole New World where you draw 7 new cards, right? So that's like kind of what you're looking at. This is in contention to maybe be played in the version that we're doing. Right now I'm going to leave it out because we did pull 2 Whole New Worlds, and I'm going to try to go in that direction, because I've played decks with 4 Whole New Worlds and none of these, and then I played mirror matches where my opponent was playing this and I won, because either I could crack it with Beast and Beast will destroy his own mirror, which is ironic, or they would just kind of run out of stuff to do because they're playing cards like this that don't do anything, and instead we're playing more cards that do things for us. And not, like, we're just kind of taking the loss of, like, yeah, I won't draw 2 cards a turn, but hopefully the card I do draw is better than this, which is, like, costing 3 ink just to find an answer, basically. But that's a whole nother theory, a whole nother little theory. So what we are going to do, at least in this build, is I'm going to be cutting the flowers, cutting the frying pans. I think I am going to cut the coconut baskets as well. They're great for some of your bigger costed cards, like Mufasa and, like, Maui, things like that. In the starter, they come down, they challenge, clear something, and then you play a character and you kind of heal them up. So don't discount this. I discounted this a lot when I first started playing. I think that was wrong of me. I think it's actually a lot better than I thought it was. So don't make the same mistake I did, but still, I think in the finished version, you don't play this unless you're playing Maurice. Magical Golden Flower, just unless you're drawing cards off of this with Maurice, I don't think it's worth running. You're just healing 3 damage. You'd rather be playing a card like Cannons or a Smash, where you're just clearing something rather than healing your own things. Frying Pan, same thing. You banish this and one of your opponents can't challenge. I'd rather just be getting that character off the board completely, so that they can't do anything with it, right? If the character doesn't exist, they can't do anything, rather than just like, yeah, you can't challenge. But they can still quest, so it doesn't make them useless. Where like a Cannons might make a small drop useless, or like a Smash might make a small drop useless by eliminating it. The only question that I have right now is, I usually like to stay around 8 ramp cards, which are Mickey, Grandma, and One Jump. So we're at 7. I think what I'm going to do is add the 4th Mickey and maybe keep these the same. I might go to a little bit more on these. You could actually max them out. But again, then you're in the same problem of, like, you're looking to draw powerful things, and instead you're drawing things like One Jump Ahead towards the late game, and then you're sad. So we'll keep the ones that are in here for now. The next card that comes out is Ransack. This does draw you cards, but it's a -1. So when you play this, you draw 2 and then you discard 2, right? But you lose this in the process. So because you're losing Ransack, I don't really like this as a permanent draw option. Like, you're almost better off with just Beast Mirror, because Beast Mirror at least is just getting you a +1, where this is just a minus, and you're gonna kind of be sad that you don't have the thing. Next up are Auroras and Prince Eric. You can kind of keep these in any combination you want. Eric's pretty good because, again, he goes up to 3 strength, so he can challenge other 2 drops and remove them completely. He can sometimes challenge up into 3 drops, which is good. Aurora hasn't been super powerful in my testing. The 2 lore is great, but she has a 1 drop stat, so she's very easily cleared by things like Cannons and just other characters in general. I'm probably going to keep a little because I'm planning on playing more of the 5-cost Aurora. But we'll see. Honestly, you could just play this by itself and you don't even need her, because shifting from her into this, the only benefit is it gives your other characters ward. It's not something that you do all the time. It's not super necessary, where like shifting something like Tink is a lot better. Hercules is pretty strong. I'm going to keep Hercules at least in the interim. Smash, we're definitely keeping Smash, probably going to 3 copies. Definitely going to 4 copies of Mickey. I think he's the best ink generating card, because he stays on the board for you and generates an ink, and then you kind of have a body behind to quest and do whatever. Same with Grammatala too. You can play her early, and then your opponent has to remove her, or they're just going to get quested to death, so eventually they'll remove her and you just get ink out of it. She's not super reliable in terms of ramp though, because sometimes your opponent does leave her, and you don't see a good opportunity to trade her in. That's why I'm going to keep her at 2, but she is good. Jasmine and Kristoff are basically the same card. One's blue, one's steel. That's it. That's the only difference. They're both 3/3s for 2. I think they're both kind of underwhelming. Same with the Aurora and Maleficent. Maleficent is good at 2, but basically with a deck like this, you don't want to curve as much as the starter does. You want to be accelerating your ink from 3 to 5 and then playing 5 drops or 6 drops. You don't want to be playing 4 drops. You kind of want to skip this to get to your higher costing cards, which is something that we're going to do when we improve the deck. Maleficent 5 drop is okay because she has 3 lore. I like her. Grab Your Sword is the only AoE in the game besides Be Prepared. So we definitely play this. Ideally, I would like to play 3 or 4 of this, but we only pulled 1. So because we only pulled 1 in our box, we're going to go to 2. The 2 beasts I think I'm going to keep. People are playing items, even if it's a little bit. 4/4, 2 lore is not terrible. Again, our 5 drop is kind of like our 4 drop slot, so we're happy with that, right? He's 1 more than Maleficent, and he also removes an item on play. Simba has some argument for staying in 2. The 3 strength is a little low for me, and the ability is okay, so it's not great. Mufasa I like, same kind of deal, 3 lore, same as Maleficent. Scar, Simba, and Maui, though, I think are being removed. So, Scar's not fantastic, Maui's okay, but for an 8 cost, I feel like it's very underwhelming to just play a bunch of stats, because by that point in time, even with you accelerating your ink, your opponent will be at 5, and then they can Dragon's Breath, or like Let It Go, or something of that nature that will just kind of remove your investment for very little on theirs. So I want to cut him for that reason. And Simba is actually pretty good because Simba has evasive and 2 lore. However, we pulled 2 copies of Robin Hood, and Robin Hood also has evasive. Most evasive characters, with the exception of the 8-drop Mickey, are very weak, so Robin Hood should be able to take them out, and Robin Hood offers us draw as long as our hand is smaller than our opponent's, which it should be, considering how fast we dump our hand, right? So I think that he's a better choice, and for that reason, we're going to take him out, right? So the strong cards we're going to keep 3 Hook, we're going to keep 3 Fire the Cannons, we're going to keep our Mines, we're going to keep Grandma, we're going to keep 1 Jump, we are keeping Smash, and we're keeping Mickey, and then we're going to keep Sword and the Beasts, and probably Maleficent. We are definitely keeping Aurora. So this is like what we have right now, meaning that all of these cards that are left over are kind of fair game to be changed, right? So I went through our polls and assembled some things that I think are good replacements. So the first thing that we're going to place is 2 Hades. And because Hades are 7-cost cards, I figured that we would cut the Scar and the Maui to play 2 Hades. They're around the same cost. Now the only downside is Hades is not inkable. These are. So we're removing non-inkables for inkables, but we're also probably going to cut these Simbas, so it should balance out. So we're going to put the 2 Hades in. We're going to take these 2 cards out, so these come out, then these get added to our finished deck. Then we're going to be adding Tinkerbell, who is inkable. So we have Big Tink and Belle, right? So for Tink and Belle, we can just cut the Simbas so that we keep our non-ink ratio kind of where it was. Now we need to add Aurora and Grab Your Sword and Let It Go, because these are our removals, as well as Robin Hood too. So we're going to do that. So for the Robin Hood, there is an argument to cut the Mufasa, but I actually like his lore count. So the first thing I want to do, now that we're here, even though these are higher cost, what I want to do is get rid of the cards I think shouldn't be played at all, right? So that's Magical Golden Flower. It's a good card, just not in this style of deck that we're building. So we're going to take those out, put our Robin Hoods in. They're inkable just like the flower was, and they just allow us to get some card draw going in our deck, which is desperately needed outside of A Whole New World. When you get lucky and you draw that, that's obviously the best card draw. So we're going to do that. Grab your sword. We don't have any uninkables, unfortunately, to remove, really. So we're just going to take out the pen, play a second copy of sword, which is great. For this one, we are going to play Let It Go. Again, this is more of the, why do I want to stop my character from challenging when I can stop that character from living? It's just better. We'll cut a coconut basket for the other one as well. We do have to cut the ransacks, but I already know what the ransacks will be coming. So yeah, the coconut baskets come out for the Let It Go. And now we're faced with the challenge. I think we're going to cut this 4-drop Aurora for a 5-drop Aurora. I know it looks super weird because we're like actively increasing the cost of our cards, but it's okay. We'll get the cards later that kind of fix that. Now we do have 2 of these hooks that I want to play because they let us recycle our Fire the Cannons. In order to do that, we are most likely going to cut these 2 Maleficents. And we are once again adding more non-inkables into our deck, which is a little rough. But keep in mind that a good portion of our non-inkables are things like One Jump and Mickey and stuff that gets you ink. So we kind of have a little bit more leeway to play a little bit higher of a non-ink count. Next up are Donald Ducks. I am testing these at 2. They definitely could be more. We could definitely play more. But I want to test at 2. They have Ward, they have decent body, they're 2 lore, which is why Maleficent and another Aurora are going to come out for them. And it's just good to have something that your opponent cannot use removal on. They must challenge it, or they have to use something that hits everything. Obviously doesn't save you from being prepared, but a turn, if you play turn 3 Mickey into turn 4 Duck, it's pretty good. Alright, next up is Captain Hook. Oh, no, I'm sorry, this is the cards that are in here. Next up is Whole New World. So these cards, again, not inkable, big sedge. I'm probably going to go over the non-ink count at the end. But these are going to come in for Ransack, right? So draw 2, discard 2, yeah. Draw 7, yeah, that's where you want to be. You want to draw a whole new hand with a whole new world. After we clear our hand, that's what we're looking to do. So the next I wanted to play were these 4 drops. I don't know if the Hans would make it into the final build of this deck. I like it here because they kind of take over like what Maleficent was, and they deal damage. This is still kind of a maybe, so for now I definitely will, I'll keep them on the side for now just to be safe. Same with this hook. I like this hook, but the fact that it's not inkable is not great. We're probably going to play 1 smash, not 2. So we'll take out a coconut basket and go to 3 smash. And the reason we're at 3 smash is because we do have the Hades and we also have the Let It Go. So we don't want to go too crazy. Now our 1-drops, I want to play Simba's. And the reason I want to play Simba is because they help us get through our deck a little bit. Something that this deck could definitely use help with. Again, maybe not something that you keep in the final version, but it's definitely better than Goons. They do suffer from not being able to really survive in a challenge since they have such strong, not such strong strength. They only have 1, which is not great. And the 2 health also not fantastic, but it's just a way to cycle. That's a good way to get through things. Then we're going to play probably 3 Tinkerbell. I would do more of these, and I would do more of the bigger Tink, but we only pulled the 1, so because of that, we're going to go with a lower count of these. So we're going to go ahead and change that for this. Then we're going to change the Aurora for another one. And then we're going to change a Flounder for 1. Sorry, citizens. And then our last Flounder is going to become another uninkable Fire the Cannons. So we're playing 4 cannons with 2 4-drop hooks to recycle those cannons and hopefully put up enough pressure on our opponent's characters to kind of get them out of the game. Now the last 3 that we need to add are these. I think the Prince Erics are coming out. They're good, but just regular spells that remove or actions that remove are a little bit better. So we'll take him out for our 4th hook. Now we're playing 4 hooks. Our 4th Mickey, very strong. And then finally, we're going to cut the Kristoff for the Develop Your Brain. So now we do have room for these. I probably won't play this. I've tested this before. It's not phenomenal. Hook can sing Grab Your Sword and A Whole New World, but we're only playing 2 of each. And we have Aurora. I think Aurora is better. I believe Aurora is inkable as well, the 5-cost Aurora, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, she's inkable as well. This is cool because when you play him early, your opponent can't challenge him. Because none of their characters can challenge. In the mirror match, super awkward though, because theirs gets Challenger 3 and could just crash into yours if you quest with it, so it's kind of iffy. It's something to consider. I don't like that it's not inkable too much, but something to keep in mind if you pull it. It is a good card. It's just not super exciting for me right now, which is why I think I'm not going to include it. Alright, so we're going to cut, I think, the 2 Jasmine and the Kristoff, and we're just going to play the Hans. So we can take Kristoff out for this Hans, and then these 2 Jasmine for this Hans. We did also pull a couple more Hercules, so it is there's an argument for maybe including the Hercules as well, right? So now if we look at our new kind of list, we have 4 hooks and 4 cannons. So let's get our hook and cannon. 4th hook, 4 cannons. Then we have 4 Develop Your Brains. I think any blue, any Sapphire that you play, every single version, every single deck, no matter the strategy, is going to be playing 4 Develop Your Brains. It's just kind of standard. We're still going to stick with 2 Grandmas and 2 1-jumps, so I'm going to kind of put them together because that's all ramp. Then we're going into our Auroras, and then we move up into our 3-costs, which are Hercules. Then we have 3 Smash. Oh, that's 2 Smash. Smish moosh. Oh, I did forget about Simbas too. Yeah. Shift these bad boys down a little bit. We do have 2 more 1-drops in Simba. So we did cut the lower end of the deck because what you're looking to do with Sapphire specifically is you want to get more ink into play so that you can get bigger things into play. So we're going to play the Smash. Then we have Mickey, a 4 of. Mickey is so good. I actually just added a 4th Mickey to the starter and played with just that, and it actually made it a lot better, which was crazy. Then we have our 3 Tinks, which again kind of let us cycle through the deck to find what we need until we actually, pull the cards that we need and we have a more consistent deck. The 3 Hans to be able to put some damage on some characters. Our 5 drops, we have Whole New World, Donald the Duck. I'll put more hooks. Sneaky 4 drops. 2 hooks. You're all 5 drops, right? You wouldn't betray me? Alright, good. Then we have our 2 Aurora. We could go to 3. We did pull another one. Again, I don't know that 3 is really necessary, so we'll see. 2 Let It Go, to just absolutely remove anything. 2 Grab Your Sword, to remove all the small things. Then we have the Maleficent. I actually do have another one of these, and there's an argument to actually play more, which is a possibility. The 2 Beasts that stayed in. Then we have our 2 Robin Hoods to help us draw. Then we have our Tink. We have our Hades, which comes over here with our Simba. And even though she's not a high drop, the 1 of Belle that we pulled. So we did pull an Enchanted Belle. And I do have another legendary Belle. I actually have a couple more. The full version of this deck, you definitely want to play more Bells. You could cap at 2. You don't have to play the full 4. I recommend playing the full 4, at least for now. She's not great early, and you wind up inking her, which is why you kind of want to play more, because when you hit A Whole New World, you're going to discard her anyway. So if you're only playing 1 or 2, you may be stuck in a situation where you have to play Whole New World and then you lose her. She's 5 lore when you have 10 ink, which is what the deck's looking to do. You're looking to ramp. So she's great. She's a good finisher. If you play the deck well, you'll do really well with her. It does take some practice with this color combination. It's a very strong color combination, but you need to know what you're doing because you have to make, sometimes you have to plan a couple turns ahead, make the right decisions, things like that. She's great. I'm going to put her over here even though she's a 4-drop just because she's an end of game card. It's going to be a little hard with this deck with only one, but we only have 2 Whole New Worlds, so hopefully it kind of balances out. And this is just a little starter deck challenge. It's not like this particular build is going to be fighting anything meta. This is more like your first deck when you want to go to locals and do pretty well with it, you know? So that being said, we have 4, 5, 6, then we have 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16 non-inkables, which is high. Usually 10 to 12 is kind of a sweet spot. But again, 6 of those are cards that generate ink, so we are closer to 10 because of that. So we should be good. Oh, did I miss the Hades actually? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 18 with the Hades. So we're closer to 12, which is like kind of right where you want to be. It's a little on the high side, but that's kind of the nature of this deck. You're looking to hit this and this early. You're pretty much going to be mulliganing specifically for that, and maybe like develop your brain and like you keep hooks and you keep cannons when you see them because you want some early game interaction. But you're really kind of looking for your ink generation so that you can get up into your higher end of the deck, which is going to be your Robin Hoods, Mufasas for now, Hades, things like that. So you have removal and kind of board presence. But yeah, that's the first draft. Let me know what you guys think. You're going to see it in action against the Ruby Emerald deck, which should be a lot of fun because that one's going to be hard to make better, and this one's a little bit easier to make better. I think after building this and Amethyst Amber are probably the 2 strongest color combinations, like in full constructed. They're very easy to make, very powerful. Ruby and Emerald are great colors. I don't think they're that great together. You kind of play like an evasive quest deck. It's not bad, it's just not the best thing you could be doing. Ruby seems better with either Sapphire or Amethyst in control, and Emerald seems to be doing really good right now with Amber for aggro or a hand control deck that I've been seeing floating around to counter kind of the other control decks. That deck loses hard to Whole New World though, which is why I haven't experimented with it. It's the first couple weeks where everybody was playing this game online and with proxies. Most people were playing Steel because it was easy to build, it was easy to figure out, and for Whole New World was everywhere, and I was like, I don't want to play hand destruction if my opponent can just pay 5 to get his whole hand back. It just defeats everything I did. But that's a whole different time in the game's history. So guys, let me know what you thought about this deck and the Ruby Emerald deck. And as always, leave us a like if you like the comment. Comment down below what changes you would make, what your finished version of this deck might look like, and how you think I did considering the cards we pulled out of the 2 boxes. As always, all the links to all of our stuff is down below in the description. Follow us on Twitter, Twitch, our Discords, things like that. Stay connected and stay in the know when we're going to drop new videos, as well as hitting that subscribe button to always be alerted when our new content goes live. And as always, guys, until next time, have a magical day.